welcome. You're watching a fresh and new edition of Market Masterclass on Moneyline. I'm Sakshi Batra, and joining us on this show is a very special guest today. Joining us is Mr. Avinash Korokshakar, Director of Research at Profit Mart Securities. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on this very special show. I wish to begin by understanding from you that till a few days back, there was a lot of fear in the market. We didn't know if we were looking at a dark bottomless pit. But do you believe that government's latest decision on vaccination drive, expanding that and liberalizing that, does that actually firmly place a place that the fear of a much bigger fall is now out of the picture?
My thinking is, Sakshi. I think this relaxation in the in the age limit for vaccination is definitely a positive step taken by the government, and better late than never. Clearly, I think from the 1st of May, people who are above 18 years could get vaccinated, and I think the run rate for the vaccination could get a big boost. Currently, 1 to 2% of the country's population is fully vaccinated, and about 10 to 12 crore people are vaccinated by the first dose. So I think we're going to go a long way ahead, but this definitely is a positive step, and I think it would incrementally increase the pace of vaccination as we get a lot of supply of vaccines, and that would definitely be a kind of a positive sentiment driver for the markets.
With the vaccination drive expanding, will this also change the way perhaps you will look at selecting of your stocks now? Earlier, were you looking at any economy facing stocks, cyclicals, industrials like maybe cement and all of those? And now are you looking to alter some of those here?
No, I think clearly, from a near-term perspective, companies, especially the pharma companies, which are going to manufacture the vaccines, the hospitals, as well as medical equipment manufacturing companies would be in focus. I think as far as the pharma vaccine companies are concerned, I think, specifically if one were to talk about the name Sakshi, one obviously would not be surprised if we see Dr. Reddy doing pretty well. In fact, Cadila is also now making all sorts of plans to launch their vaccine. So my sense is that Cadila and Dr. Reddy, and typically even Aurobindo Pharma, which is also in the pipeline to launch a vaccine, could possibly continue to remain in focus. Although one thing is very clear, that this profitability run could be a one-off event. It could possibly spill over to FY22 and little over FY23. But the market would obviously pencil in some sort of incremental earnings growth for these companies, because these vaccines are definitely going to give them a big revenue boost, at least from one product which is going to be used in a very large, immense way. So I think you will see a lot of action in those kind of companies. The second set of companies is the pathology companies. I think clearly pathology companies are running short of supplies. Something like a Dr. Path Labs, a Metropolis, or a Thyrocare. I think these would definitely figure out, pretty well in terms of earnings for FY22. So I think net, the portfolio structure continues to remain the same, but I think there could be some additions here based on the kind of valuation potential of these companies.
Most of the pharma companies are sitting right now at a 52-week high levels as well. So from here on also, do you expect multi-year opportunities for some of these companies? And should investors really go all out or be very, very specific with even these pharma companies and healthcare companies and even lab companies?
So I think within the pharma pack, if you talk about pure pharmaceutical companies, then I think companies like Cadila, definitely there seems to be some more risk reward, from current levels. And you can also look at companies like Gland Pharma, which have got a marketing arrangement with Dr. Reddy to actually, distribute the vaccines all over the country. So these two companies could definitely see a decent risk reward, because we have not seen these prices move up that significantly. But I think overall in the pathology pack, I would believe that something like a Thyrocare or a Metropolis, only on declines one should look at these companies, because clearly valuations are not very cheap. They're fairly moderate to expensive. So I think my recommendation or my suggestion would be to look at companies like Cadila and Gland Pharma. Dr. Reddy has also moved up significantly, Sakshi. So I think rather than buying a stock in a hurry or chasing the stock, that is not going to give you those kind of alpha and returns.
Absolutely. Also, one more space that I wanted to ask your view was the insurance space. We've seen that the monthly data for these life insurance data has actually come out quite strong. Is this a space that you really like going forward from here?
Yeah, I think insurance companies, unfortunately, are not short-term trading bets, and despite the fact that monthly numbers have come out pretty well, our sense is that in the pecking order, if one were to look at insurance companies from a slightly medium-term horizon, then I think SDFC Life and SBI Life, these two companies, I think, are clearly candidates where a lot of wealth creation is waiting to happen. But probably, investors need to take a longer term call here, Sakshi. I think at least for the next 12, 18 months, if one remains invested here, one could definitely expect a decent rewards from both these companies.
Absolutely. But the rising COVID cases and these increasing lockdowns that have come in, they've actually led to a whole lot of volatility in the market. So, what should be the strategy for long-term investors? Should they invest like gradually in a staggered fashion in perhaps say large caps that have maybe cooled off 10-15% from their 1 or 2 month highs? And is it time to then raise a cash a little bit also to be a little cautious, stay on the sidelines, invest only when you're very, very sure about the upward movement? What are you really advising all the investors? Do you believe that one can use these dips to buy some individual stocks too?
I think clearly, Sakshi, one thing is very clear that this time the government has gone on record saying that there will not be 100% lockdown. There could be state-wise lockdowns for a brief period. So that is something the markets and the industry is very hopeful that that is not going to upset business conditions completely. So in this scenario, I would believe that one should look at quality large caps or some sort of decent mid caps, and obviously one has to not invest entirely in a lump sum fashion. Try to average out your buying strategy gradually, because we clearly don't know where the index would settle down. Of course, 14,000 is a very crucial number, but overall, with the sentiment being volatile, I would suggest that if one has a investment kitty, please invest 25 to 30% now, and the rest can be invested gradually. I think the markets are going to be extremely volatile, and if COVID cases do rise even in the month of May and June, then I think it would not be surprising that we could see lower levels for the markets, at least in the very near term.
Now let's actually shift focus to the earnings factor also, because we are in the midst of earnings. Of course, some of the companies that have come out, they've come out with the robust earnings, and the markets are also rewarding these continuously, the stocks also individually as well. So what is your outlook for the entire Q4 earnings season, and how do you see the second wave of COVID-19 impacting? Will it impact some of the sectors in this quarter? Will there be some impact that you see for the next quarter because of these interim and intermittent lockdowns that we are facing right now? And would you also look at reducing some of the earnings estimates we made for this in the next quarter?
See, I think as of now, Sakshi, we have not reduced or fine-tuned our earnings estimates for the Sensex or the Nifty. Our sense is very clear that the fourth quarter numbers are going to be very robust for almost all the sectors, except some of the COVID impacted sectors badly. But overall, if you look at the composition of the growth, which is going to come largely, is going to come in from automotive, auto components, capital goods, cement, infra, as well as IT and pharma, which are the defensive sectors. We've already seen IT companies coming out with very strong numbers. Cement companies like ACC also putting out very strong numbers. So I would believe that these sectors are unlikely to be impacted, at least in the very near term, unless of course April, May, and June continues with the COVID, and management commentaries here are going to be very important. So I think the market should obviously look at what is the kind of thought process from the management side, because clearly COVID is something which is unpredictable. So April, May, June, if the COVID continues, then obviously earnings impact could be felt by these sectors also. But I think the sectors to avoid completely would be aviation, entertainment, shopping malls. I think these are sectors which are badly impacted by the COVID, and I think even beyond June, recovery is going to take a long time. So I think these sectors should be clearly an avoid.
Great that you've mentioned that, where should you look at and where should you completely avoid. That will really help all the viewers understand how are you supposed to approach the markets. One more sector that I really need to take your view on is the banking and the NBFC space as well. Whenever these sharp downfalls are coming, these sharp 1,000, 2,000 point of cuts on a single day are coming, we are seeing a sharper pinch being felt by the banking majors. Do you see that there is a fear of the rising credit issues, NPA issues emerging a little while from now? And should that be a space where one should get cautious on, maybe take out their profits that they've made in the past year?
I think banking sector definitely, as far as the April to June quarter would be a challenging quarter, because this is one sector which is very fragile, and obviously defaults and repayments are very much dependable on the borrowers, paying capacity. So my sense is, Sakshi, I think the larger banks like maybe an ICICI Bank or an Axis Bank or a Bandhan Bank are clearly well positioned to take a hit, because they've already made a lot of COVID provisions in their balance sheets. But I think clearly one would have to wait and watch, because as COVID progresses, one would like to see what is the current status as of now. I think HDFC Bank has come out with pretty decent set of numbers, but even the management commented that COVID is an unknown factor in which they will have to evaluate on a kind of a case to case basis. I think the PSU banks are going to be the most severely hit. I think, except barring maybe an SBI or a Bank of Baroda, I think most of the other PSU banks would definitely be more severely impacted. So my suggestion is, I think try to stick to the larger banks, the private sector banks, and within the PSU banks, I think SBI and Bank of Baroda look better position, but not the entire PSU pack. So it's going to be a tricky kind of number which may pan out post June. But I think we'll have to wait and watch. But overall, I think this sector will be vulnerable, and maybe you'll have to take a pick and choose. When you put your investment strategy.
Okay, then thank you very much, Mr. Goraksha, for joining us on this very special show and helping all our viewers really understand which are the sectors that should be on your radar going on from here. How is the second wave of COVID-19 and the vaccination drive really going to impact these particular sectors? How should you go ahead with selection of your portfolio stocks in the year ahead from now? From the earnings perspective, also you've talked to us about which are the sectors that are going to really benefit and which are the sectors that are completely unavoidable space to be in as well. Thank you very much for your key insights on this very special show. With that, we wrap up this edition of Market Masterclass. Next show will be coming up soon, so stay tuned with us on Money9.com.